I bought my husband a DNA test for his birthday. It was March in Seattle, rain pressing softly against the windows, like it always does, steady and quiet. I thought it would be fun, something small, something harmless. I wrapped the box in airplane paper because Ryan works at Boeing. I remember thinking, this is safe. This is normal. I didn't know small things can split a life open. It ended my marriage, exposed my brother-in-law's secret, and revealed my therapist as my son's father. The worst part? I told Jake first. We live in a narrow Capitol Hill apartment where everything feels temporary, but nothing leaves. Wet coats hang by the door. Coffee mugs stack unevenly, like we'll fix them later. Ryan works long shifts at Boeing. Jake moved in after losing his Ballard place and never really left. I told myself it made sense. Seattle is expensive. Families adjust. I didn't realize how quietly space shifts when someone stays too long. Ryan leaves before sunrise. Boots heavy, movements precise. Jake sleeps on the pull-out couch under tangled blankets. Maya is 7, loud and bright. Ethan is 5, quieter, always zipped into that green jacket, dragging his backpack like it weighs too much. I used to think this was normal chaos, just a full house. But now I understand how much was happening quietly, underneath all of it. I noticed Ethan's eyes outside Stevens Elementary. Rain tapped softly against the awning above us. He looked up at me, and everything paused for a second. His eyes were green, not brown, not hazel. Green in a way that felt too clear. I mentioned it to Ryan later. He laughed and said, "Recessive genes, right?" I nodded. But something about it stayed with me longer than it should have. Ryan has brown eyes. Jake has brown eyes. I have blue. That night, I searched eye color genetics on my phone. The glow lit my hands in the dark room. It said green was possible. Rare, but possible. I closed the tab, opened it again, closed it again. I remember thinking I shouldn't care this much. But some questions don't feel like curiosity. They feel like something waiting. The DNA kits were Ryan's idea. He said it casually, leaning against the counter like it meant nothing. "Let's do ancestry tests," he said, "for fun." I didn't question it. I ordered 4 kits that night. Mine, his, Maya's, Ethan's. Jake joked he wanted one too. I laughed. It felt normal. I didn't see how deliberate that moment really was. We turned it into a game. Spitting into tubes, reading instructions out loud, laughing about ancestry. Ethan asked if the test could tell if he liked pancakes. I told him yes, just to hear him laugh. The rain blended into the background. I remember thinking, this is what normal looks like. A family doing something meaningless together. I didn't realize we were packaging something that would break us. The results came in March 20 to 25, Thursday morning. I was barefoot in the kitchen, the floor cold, coffee still too hot to drink. The email said, "Your reports are ready." It looked harmless. I opened mine first without thinking, without calling Ryan, without waiting. I didn't know that moment would split everything I knew into before and after. Maya matched perfectly. Mine, Ryan's, everything exactly how it should be. I exhaled without realizing I had been holding something. I even smiled. I thought, see, this is nothing. Just curiosity. I almost closed the app right there. Almost. Instead, I clicked Ethan's profile. My hand felt unsteady. I didn't know why yet. I just knew something was wrong. Ethan didn't match Ryan as a father. Not partially, not uncertain, just absence. A clean space where something essential should have been. I stared at the screen, waiting for it to correct itself. I whispered, "That's not right." My voice sounded unfamiliar. The rain outside felt louder. My hands went cold. I didn't understand it yet, but I knew something irreversible had just started. My brain went to Jake before anything else did, before logic, before shame. I checked his match next, my fingers moving faster than my thoughts. Nothing, not even close. He wasn't Ethan's father either. I remember gripping the counter, the edge digging into my palms, trying to stay upright. The thing I had already said to him, "What if Ethan is yours?" collapsed instantly. But it didn't disappear. It just became something worse. Then I saw it. A name I recognized before I even processed the numbers. Parental match. Alan Whitmore, 49.8% DNA. Predicted relationship, father. I read it again, slower this time, like that would change it. It didn't. My therapist, the man who had listened to me talk about my marriage, my stress, my life. I covered my mouth without thinking, like I could hold something in that had already escaped. Dr. Whitmore always felt steady. That's the word I used. Steady. Gray hair, glasses, tweed jacket that never changed. He spoke slowly, like nothing needed to rush. I saw him for 3 years. Work stress, anxiety, pressure from everything I was balancing. I remember thinking he understood me better than anyone, that I could say anything in that room. I didn't question him. I didn't question how comfortable it all felt. At first, the timeline protected me. I started therapy when Ethan was already 2, so it couldn't be him. That thought felt solid, something I could stand on. I repeated it to myself. Then something shifted. A memory that didn't fit neatly anymore. Portland, not a full memory, just fragments, a hallway, a voice, a feeling I couldn't place. I remember thinking, no, that doesn't make sense. But it did. Ethan was our second child. After Maya, we tried again. Quietly at first, then with more intention. Months passed. Nothing happened. I remember sitting in the bathroom staring at tests that all said the same thing. Negative. I thought something was wrong with me. I carried that silently. Ryan never said anything. He never told me what he already knew. That silence feels different now. He wasn't just quiet. He was hiding something. In 2019, I went to Portland for a Starbucks regional conference. I remember the smell of coffee in the hotel lobby, the sound of elevators opening and closing. Alan was there too. He said he had a seminar nearby. It felt like coincidence. We talked longer than we should have. He said I looked tired. I remember that clearly. I remember him offering something to help me relax. And I remember saying yes. I was prescribed lorazepam, low dose, for anxiety. Alan prescribed it. Some sessions after that felt softer. Edges blurred. Moments didn't connect the way they should. I told myself it was normal. Medication does that. Stress does that. I didn't question it deeply. I trusted him. Completely. That's the part that keeps repeating in my head. Not the memory. The trust. I still can't prove what happened in Portland. There isn't a clear moment, no single memory that explains everything, just fragments that don't align cleanly. I don't know if I was a victim. I don't know if I participated. I don't know what space exists between those things. But Ethan exists. That part is real. And his DNA doesn't leave room for interpretation. 2 weeks before the results, I told Jake. Seahawks game on TV, volume too loud, beer bottles on the table. Ryan was working late. It felt like a normal night. I remember leaning forward, lowering my voice, saying, "What if Ethan is yours?" The words felt heavier once they were out. I didn't take them back. I didn't even try. Jake didn't react the way I expected. He didn't deny it. He didn't get angry. He just sat there and said, "I've wondered," quiet, almost detached. I remember the silence after that more than the words. We didn't build a story out loud, but something shifted between us. Something we didn't understand yet. It felt like truth at the time. It wasn't. When Alan's name appeared, Jake's didn't matter anymore, but it also didn't disappear, because I had still said it. He had still thought it. We crossed something without knowing what it meant. That moment didn't create the truth, but it changed something anyway. I remember thinking how something could be both irrelevant and unforgivable at the same time. Ryan heard part of that conversation. I found out later. He had come home early and stood in the hallway. He didn't hear everything, just enough. He didn't interrupt. He didn't confront us. He stayed still. I tried to imagine what that moment felt like, hearing something you weren't supposed to hear, and deciding not to react. Ryan had his own secret. In 2019, he was diagnosed with azoospermia, infertile. He never told me. He said later he didn't want to take anything away from our life, from Maya. I remember feeling anger first, then something else, because silence doesn't just protect. It builds something underneath it. Something you don't see until it's already there. He took a DNA test in 2022, alone, quietly, before Jake moved in. Before I said anything, he already knew Ethan wasn't his. I try to understand what that means, to know something like that and not say it, to watch, to wait. I don't know if that's patience or something colder. The birthday gift wasn't really mine. Not entirely. Ryan suggested it, softly, naturally. But now it feels like something else, like a way to let truth happen without saying it himself. I remember looking at the box afterward and realizing I had been part of something I didn't understand at the time. He had everything documented. Screenshots, dates, pharmacy receipts, notes about Ethan's eyes. I flipped through it slowly, like it belonged to someone else. It didn't feel emotional. It felt organized, structured, controlled. That made it worse somehow. He hadn't reacted. He had observed. I called Alan's office. The receptionist sounded normal. Routine. She said he wasn't available. I checked the website after. His profile was gone. Completely. No explanation. No transition. Just absence. I stared at the screen longer than I should have, waiting for something to appear. It didn't. That night, Ethan slept in his green jacket. He refused to take it off. Maya slept beside him, her arm draped over his backpack. I stood in the doorway watching them longer than I needed to, trying to understand how something so quiet could feel so heavy. The apartment was silent, but it didn't feel calm. I thought truth would give clarity, that it would point somewhere. It doesn't. Ryan lied. Jake wondered. Alan disappeared. I forgot things I should remember. And Ethan carries all of it without knowing any of it. That's the part I can't place anywhere. The part that doesn't fit into blame. I don't know who the victim is anymore. Me? Ryan? Ethan? Maybe all of us. Maybe none of us. I stand at the window and watch the rain blur everything outside, and it feels right somehow. If one moment can rewrite everything, what would you do? Tell me. And if you've ever carried something like this, subscribe. There's more I haven't said yet.